Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday. It is time for Corona TV. I started at 2 p.m. on the dot, and I'm in a position now where you're going to see a lot of things that are different. I mean, the learning curve has just been unbelievable. Let me see if I got the right. Yep. Look, we're live on Facebook, and I've found a new format. I kind of gave up on Zoom. There was a bug that, for whatever reason, just kept on kicking off the Facebook live feed, and so I kind of gave up on it. And necessity is the mother of invention, and so I was able to come up with and find something quite interesting. And so this is the new format of Corona TV. Now, at any point in time, you can comment. I am not looking at the Facebook feed today, but if you do comment, I can see your comments. And of course, I can not only respond to you, but I can even display your comments on the screen. So let's try that as well. I think it's important to start off every day with a little update. And it's a bit sobering, no doubt, right? There are just shy of 700,000 global cases right now of COVID-19, of the coronavirus. And in fact, we just broke, sadly, 33,000 deaths globally. Maybe there's a little bit of upside as well. Maybe that upside is the fact that 146,613 people have recovered. And as I alluded to last week, my newsletter article next week, in fact, it will come out tomorrow, is going to talk about the recovered. And I'm very, very interested in what you have to hear, what you have to say about that, because I think there's something kind of interesting there. And I'll talk about that as well. In terms of really what's been going on here in the US, Tony Fauci was on all the news broadcast this morning, and the sobering news there is that 100,000 people could in fact die in the US, and millions could be infected. And that is a reality that we wake up to every morning. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about that before I bring on my guest, my very special guest, my VIP guest this morning. I was talking to my wife this morning, and she said, every morning she wakes up with a pit in her stomach. There's this feeling of dread, this feeling of, is this a dream? Is this a bad dream? Is this a nightmare? There's this feeling of surreal, reality hitting us. And unfortunately, it's very real. It's very much real. And we have to get up, and we have to get out of bed, and we have to find purpose and meaning, and we have to get on with it. And, that's what I want to talk about a little bit today in the first few minutes of this. You've got to find that incentive, that motivation, that purpose, that meaning, whether it's a little bit of spirituality or a new habit or a new routine. Maybe it is, in fact, exercise. These are the things that we need right now to just switch the television off after a while. This is what I said, quite early on when I started doing Corona TV, which was that we need absolutely to be able to get a little bit of news in the morning, maybe an update at lunch, and then in the evening. But other than that, just switch it off and get back to life, to living. It's so important. It is this manic depressive existence that we live in right now. The highs are super high, the lows are super low, and we cannot allow either extreme to get the better of us. We've got to find balance. We all want success and victory. We all want happiness. But we can't exist in a world with an abundance of all of that. Sometimes we need to get back to reality. Sometimes reality bites, but it is the adversity and the hardship that allows us ultimately to savor those victories even more so. Now, one thing you'll notice about me today is that I'm wearing my Spurs cap. I figure, you know what, I'm not going to put gel in my hair. I am dressing up for you. I mean, I have a shirt on. I'm wearing pants, maybe. But I have a lot of caps that I've never worn. And I figure maybe every day I'm going to wear a cap, a different one. And, you know, my passion for Tottenham Hotspur, my love for English football is so profound. And of course, I'll be interviewing my sister in a moment, and she lives in London. So I figured this was the appropriate cap to wear. I'm also going to be talking to you about mental health over the next days, weeks, months, however long it takes. And I think there are a couple of really interesting things that have come to the forefront. I'll save them for another show, but for now, you know, I think I just want to pick up on what I was talking about earlier, which is do not let every day become Groundhog Day. Do not let yourself get down by what is happening around you. Find order even in the four walls of your apartment that separates and distances you from the chaos that is around you and that surrounds you as well. I'm hearing some interesting things right now about mental health, and there's some surprising insights that are coming out, and I will share some of them with you over the course of, as I said, the time ahead. One I will share with you is I was talking to my mother. My mother lives in South Africa. She just began her lockdown period. We've started a daily call between my mom, she's a single parent, and her three kids, her in-laws, and all of her grandkids daily. You know, she's tried to get out of it a few times. I said, no, it is the same time every day. Whoever shows up, but we're going to make it regular. We're going to make it routine. We're going to keep that contact in place and push ourselves, even when we're feeling maybe just a little bit down, to show up and to step up and to be there for each other and to connect with one another. And the one thing that she actually said to me, which I thought was so interesting, is, you know, she actually said to me that she's sleeping well. And I thought to myself, wow, that's amazing. That's unbelievable to me, that she's actually sleeping better now, without the stress, without the grind, without, you know, some of the day-to-day that maybe got in her way before. And so that's just a little personal insight that I wanted to share with you. Her going through cancer, my mom, she's had difficulty sleeping, but now she's able to sleep. And I hope it continues as well. So this is the first time I'm using this piece of software. One thing I did actually notice is that I'm not able to determine if, in fact, people are commenting on Facebook. One of the reasons why is that what I'm actually doing is streaming live right now to Facebook and YouTube. And I think maybe just because I use multiple platforms, what really ended up happening is it blocked. So I can actually go to Facebook right now and go to a different screen. But I'm hoping as we move through this new format that you'll actually be able to see your comments on screen, and I'll be able to comment directly with you and to you. So I see there are 5 comments, and I just wanted to say hello to a few people. Hello to Sarah Green. Hello to Terry. Hello to Stephen Rubin as well. So I do see your comments, and I will come back to you shortly. My wife did comment, and she said she can see the crawl, and I guess it's all working, but she doesn't like it because the content is horrifying. So let's take that off. But the purpose of today is to do a little interview with my sister. And I'm going to bring her onto the show shortly. But this segment today is about spirit, and it is about the entrepreneurial spirit. And it is her story, and it is a story that I think is inspiring and one that I want to share with you. So if all goes well, there she is. Sharon, welcome to Corona TV.
Thank you for having me, Joe.
And how's life in London today?
Life is very quiet. There are hardly any cars on the streets, and it's actually quite peaceful. It's remarkably peaceful.
Now, one thing about you at the moment that is quite interesting is, as far as you're concerned, and to the best of your ability, you believe right now that you have the coronavirus. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I have been around several people who've had it, and the last couple of days I've had absolutely no sense of smell or taste, which is bizarre. Drinking coffee is like drinking warm water, which is quite disappointing as a coffee addict. And then today I've had a headache, and I've just checked my temperature. I have a bit of a fever as well. So I think I'm really living it right now.
And like a crazy person, as we'll discuss later, the show must go on. And because we're here today to talk about the Sky Club. We're here today to talk about your spinning studio that you started. And I think maybe the first thing to do is to just share very briefly the story of how you started the Sky Club. So why don't you take it away?
Okay, so just over 4 years ago, I was spinning at our local gym about 3 times a week, and I loved it. I was addicted. I thought the teachers were outstanding. There was a little community there, and but as you said in your intro, Joe, necessity is the mother of invention, and the gym announced they were closing down. They were being taken over. I was desperate, but so was everybody else. We didn't know where we would go. I knew there were some options. It wasn't the same. The teachers weren't the same. The pricing wasn't the same. And I got chatting in a changing room one day with one of the instructors. We shared the same idea, which is, listen, just get a room, get bikes, get music. The famous last words, how hard can it be? And we set up a pop-up in 10 days, literally using an online platform called Mind Body. I was in South Africa. She was skiing in France. Everything was done remotely. But we had the community. We had the people. And I remember clearly saying to her, even if we do this and fail, at least we know we've tried. And we are never going to get another chance where we get given customers on a plate. So that's what we did. The pop-up took off. 6 months later, we got permanent premises. And we've grown now to about 3,500 members in Hampstead Garden Suburb, which is in North London.
And I've been to the studio. I've done a class. I think I injured myself. It was a pretty tough class. But I've been to the studio where, I mean, obviously we both studied marketing. We did the same degree in Cape Town. We both appreciate that nuance, which is the small things or the cheapest things or the most valuable things. It's the little touches, right? The branding, etc. I mean, when I saw this photo, I was like, is this actually a cycling studio or is it a modeling agency? I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure. But yeah, so you guys set up your own business, and I was very impressed personally with how you use all these pieces of software. Some of them were free, and some of them were subscriptions. And you cobbled together your own solution, website, e-commerce solution, your booking and scheduling system, and everything was great, right? Until the dreaded C word, and of course. The dreaded C word is actually not corona. In fact, it was cancer.
Yeah. So indeed, I've always, in my last newsletter, I mentioned the C words, and the C words of the Sky Club were all about community and club, and very much around social fitness. We've always said we're about the people and not the pedals. So we continue that way. We've grown an amazing community. There's been so much love, and I really have gotten so much fulfillment from seeing people who've had their lives changed by discovering exercise, which they actually thought they would hate. Unfortunately, a few months ago, my business partner and dear friend Hills was diagnosed with cancer. It is advanced cancer. And so we were plunged into a crisis. Immediately, I thought, I'm going to shut down. We can't go on. But I saw a wonderful quote that said, instead of saying, why me, you should say, try me. So we pulled ourselves up. I had done some training as an instructor, so I threw myself in the deep end. We trained up another member of staff. We shuffled around. We planned the chemo in. We got cover teachers. And we actually progressed around the fact that Hills has gone through chemotherapy and had had 3 cycles of chemotherapy when the additional C of corona hit us.
All right, so now we're going to talk about that and the sea of corona. I mean, I remember I was on my way through London to South Africa to visit Mom, and we had this conversation. I said, Sharon, you're going to need to shut down. It's happening. It's coming now. When are you going to do it? And you know, you kept actually several weeks, almost, I think at least 2 weeks longer. You kept those classes going. You sent out emails. You were absolutely vigilant with respect to hygiene. You did all of that. But then came that inevitable reality that you were going to need to shut your doors. But of course, you didn't shut your doors.
No, well, you know, this whole experience, I think the most stressful part for everybody was not really knowing what was happening next. So from one day to the next, we heard about that we needed to have extra hygiene. Well, we'd actually already been using a lot of hand sanitizer because Hills had a low immunity because of the chemo. But every single day we had to change. So we had to be very, very agile, very nimble, very fast in terms of constantly adapting from day to day. You know, when things turned left, we turned left. When they turned right, we turned right. And we got to a point actually, which was quite nice, is we sent an email out on all the precautions we were taking to protect our members. And someone accidentally replied to us and said, look at these guys, they're handling things so professionally. If only our gym did that. So that made me really proud that even though we're small, we could still be very professional. I did feel that the closure was coming, and I started the research going online, and I took my into the studio one day and we tested a recording, which is actually one of the recordings that we have live. And I just realized that if we shut down, we're probably shutting down for good, because there's no way that we could pay our rent and sustain our costs for the next few months. So it's, you know, it's like being in a corner. When you're in a corner, you have to fight. The idea of having recorded classes was at the back of my head for years. But, you know, once again, necessity is the mother of invention. I pulled the camera into the studio. We recorded. I ran out of memory space. The battery went flat. There were sound issues. But we realized that the show must go on. And everybody has been so encouraging and willing to compromise on quality just to keep on spinning. So within, it was about 72 hours last week. Wednesday, I did my last class, which was after having root canal treatment.
Your last in-person class?
Correct, in the studio. And then Thursday, I'd announced that day the bikes were out for rent. All of the bikes went, and we have a wait list. The bikes were shipped Thursday. Friday morning, we were already recording live. The content went live on Friday, using a combination of different platforms.
Well, let's get back to the technical aspects in a second. You told me something, and you know, it was a very emotional thing, and I still feel emotional about it right now, which is you recorded your first class, and you said you cried throughout the whole class. I mean, that really, really got to me. And talk about what were those tears? Were those tears for You know, I mean, I can surmise what they meant, but what were those tears for you?
That's a good question. I actually had to think afterwards about why I was so emotional. I won't say upset because it was just a mixture. I was sitting on the floor filming another instructor, and I felt so sad, just sad for the whole situation, that we're just, you know, two women who are trying so hard to get a community going, to get everyone fit and spinning and healthy. We're not out there to make millions, and yet we just keep getting these curveballs, and we're still fighting, and we're fighting so hard. And I suppose that's the sadness that I felt, that here I was with my marketing degree, having been a CMO with a big team, and I was sitting on the floor with a selfie stick recording a class.
Well, I actually have a clip, and so let me play that. So that's you and Hills right now, I think, and I'm gonna just show a little clip of you guys in action. Not embarrassing, I know. Just showing you, just showing you completely, cycling to the world right now as well. You know, the rest of the.
Well, I think what some people don't realize in that clip even is that Hills is actually not spinning because of her cancer. So we figured out the system that she would instruct, and then I would spin next to her as a way of keeping her amazing classes going.
Right, that's great. I would never have realized that. So we're going to talk about, making lemonade from lemons, because, here you are and you cobble together this solution, and if you're happy to just, share like which products you're using and how you got it done. But what I thought was amazing is, you're competing with the big dogs now. You're competing with the Pelotons of the world, and you're competing with all the Soul Cycles of the world, and you're competing with these not only massive studios on the in-person studios, but all of these on-demand platforms. But you kind of just don't care when you're just moving forward, when your head is down and you're moving forward, because you've set up the system. And maybe just talk about how you did it, like technically, and some of the good stuff, right? Which is your last class, and how many people even signed up for it.
Yeah, well, I think that 10 years ago, this would never have been possible. And it is the technology that allows people like myself to come up with an idea and bring it to life. I did the e-commerce side on Shopify. I did the video using Vimeo. Our email marketing is using a platform called Emma. It was just honestly cobbled together very simply and done in one evening, brought to life. And it's thanks to that technology that we were able to do this. And then we noticed that everyone was going live on Facebook and Instagram. So we decided to try that. So yesterday I did a live class on Instagram, and I was amazed that I saw that 81 people had been watching. So I realized that even though our actual studio only has 22 bikes, because of the circumstance, we actually now can reach a much broader market without looking at the geographical borders. We can reach someone in South Africa. We've got someone in Manchester, someone in Connecticut, all over the world. We're getting new customers.
Well, I know I immediately signed up. So you're getting £30 a month, I think, from me, even though I'm too afraid to actually get on I have a spinning bike downstairs, but maybe I'll do a class as well. But I think there's a beautiful message here, right? At the end of the day, and I think what I'd like to do is wind down with really two, an insight and a question, right? I think the insight is, And you know what? Two questions. First of all, when we come out of our holes and our caves and hiding, etc., and you go back to the old way, will you include this on-demand solution now as part of your offering?
Well, I think that's a good question, and it goes back to the core of the marketing principles behind the business, which is about people. It's also about, we're kind of the easy jet of spinning. We don't try and be the Soul Cycle or Peloton, because we are accessible for the long tail of people who can't afford to pay those prices for classes or can't afford to pay that for a bike. So we are, we're in the business of democratizing spinning. So given that concept, online, I think there are a lot of people who've got bikes at home who can't afford Peloton and who do want to have more motivation and more structure and more rhythm-based cycling in their classes. So I think that the need will still be there, and I do hope to continue with this.
And certainly, I've just put up the URL on the screen for anybody that wants to support you. It doesn't matter where they live in the world, but hopefully you'll get a bit of business out of this, because why I wanted to interview is this is about the entrepreneurial spirit. And I know I was looking at some of the comments, and Stavros said, just keep fighting. That's what entrepreneurs do. So I thought maybe I'd like to give you the last word, and then maybe we'll just look at a few comments on Facebook. But what advice would you give other people, entrepreneurs, small business owners that are afraid, that are hurting, that are looking for that inspiration right now?
Well, I think that if you go back to the core of doing what you love, which is that I love to spin, and I love to spin with other people. So, the night before, last night, 13 people asked me to do a live class. So I did it. It is the need out there and the fulfillment of the need that should continually drive you to be able to deliver something that you are able to deliver and that you love to deliver. That passion and that ability should just keep you getting up every day to know that you can actually help someone else with what you can do. And for me, that's having a technology background, but also loving to spin. And it's also very much about all the amazing people that I work with, my incredible business partner, my staff, the instructors, and this community of people who, they sustain me. They message me, they inspire me, they send me their stats and their calorie burns. They push me to keep going for them. So I would say to others, don't forget the people and stay in touch with the people. We have the technology, and let the people drive the future.
Sharon, we have a minute 45 left, even though it's completely arbitrary. But I'm excited by the software. Almost everything worked today, except for the comments, and I have a feeling it's because I was pushing through to multiple platforms. But I'll fix that for tomorrow, guys. For anybody that wants to join, hopefully, Sharon, will you be able to join us on Zoom and see if anyone wants to come and ask you any questions or hang out with you and me for a little bit?
Yes, is the link in the WhatsApp?
The link should actually be scrolling at the bottom. It should be on the top of Facebook Live. It's it's in your WhatsApp, but it's there it is, zoom.us/bloody-bloody-blah. We'll go live for just, on Zoom for just maybe 15, 20 minutes, or as often as, or as long as people want us to chat. Sharon, I'm not used to you having the complete spotlight, speaking more than me and having the last word. But indeed, you're 3 for 3 today. So how can people find out about you if you want to promote your Instagram feed, the company, and of course, getting people to sign up? The floor is yours.
Thank you, Joe. And I do want to thank you for this opportunity. I really appreciate it. I would say go to our Instagram. The link for Side Club On Demand is in Instagram. Go into Google. We've done all our Google search words, so our website should come up. But give it a try. Try if you have a spin bike at home. Obviously, that's essential. But try it, support us, give us feedback, help us to be better. Tell us what you want. and we'll try and deliver it and let everybody stay fit and healthy, because it has been shown that the fitter you are, the stronger your immunity and the stronger the chance you have of surviving this.
Sharon, well, I'll hopefully see you on Zoom now. For everyone else, Corona TV will be back at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow, and every single day, as long as you give me the ability and the platform and the opportunity to serve you, I will. Send my regards and my love to my brother-in-law and my nieces. And for those of you that want to come to Zoom, we'll be on for a bit. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, Sharon. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, Joe. Bye.